Hello, coders. How's everybody going? Everybody doing all right? Let me see if I can find the button. Hey, there we go. Sporting the How to Code Well hoodie, by the way, because it is winter. Well, autumn stroke winter. It's cold in the UK. I hope everybody's doing well. Hope everybody's feeling good and had a nice chilled out Sunday. What we're going to do today is we're going to do some of the course notes, planning of the course notes for the How to Code Well website. This is one of the things that has taken a lot of time to do in the background. And it was a couple of weeks ago I was discussing with people on the Discord server about perhaps putting the course notes in open source, and so that's what's happening. So what I'm going to do today is kind of plan that out and discuss the course notes in general. If we go over to where's the buttons? That one. Okay, so this is the How to Code Well course notes repository. Yes, I'm feeling. Yeah, so I was suffering from a cold, which I still am, and then on the day in which I decided, last week, I decided not to stream because I was feeling so rough. I thought it would be a great idea, in my infinite wisdom, to go out and to pick up the leaves from the garden. So because we've got some trees in the garden, so we, every year we have to pick up the leaves, otherwise the grass dies. Sure. But I'm not as young as I used to be. And as I was grabbing the leaves off of the ground, I put my back out, and it's still twingy, but it's probably about 75% better than it was. It was one of those proper sort of bent down, grabbed a pile of leaves, and then my back just suddenly locked, and I couldn't move. It was like, and that feeling. Can you ever remember learning to swim? And it was the feeling of letting go from the side. It was that kind of like, oh my god, I can't let go of anything, otherwise I'm going to fall down in a big heap. And I slowly sort of got myself up after I could feel something just go pop in my back. It's kind of like where my pelvis is, sort of on the lower left. I don't really know. And anyway, so for the past week, I've been hobbling around the house. Obviously, because of COVID, there's been no walking and other bits. So, normally with these things, I would go and sort of get them checked, but obviously nobody wants to touch your body anymore because of COVID, so you can't really go to a chiropractor. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, and I think part of this is because I was trying to do a challenge, and it was the 50 push-up challenge, so trying to get 50 push-ups in 30 days. So and each day you would increment it and do a little bit more over 4 sets, and of course I went for hell for leather and started doing this without any kind of breaks. It was kind of just cold turkey straight in, and I think what I've done is I've just, over the course of a few weeks whilst I was doing that, I just have suddenly sort of put the back out. It's much better now. I can stand, I can walk around, and I can sit, which is something that I couldn't do on the day I did it. So I haven't unfortunately done that push-up challenge since then. I took a whole week off and a week just to chill, sort the back out. The cold, which was the original thing that prevented me from doing a live stream last week, that's fine. Yeah, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. But anyway, I mean, I suppose during these COVID times, you've just got to look after yourself a little bit more, right? My wife was like, no, you shouldn't be doing, you're feeling rough. Leave the garden, it's fine. The garden will still be there when you get back. But I just don't like leaving things. I need to do something, right? I need to do something. Anyway, enough of my whinging and whining. This is the course notes for the How to Code Well website. What I'm going to do is demonstrate this from the front end's perspective, as that kind of is, and then I'll talk about how I'm going to bring this, marry the two things up together. So let's go let's bring up another window here. We're probably best to do it at the bottom, actually, to be fair, because we kind of need all the things, all the room. I'm going to go into the portal. Probably need to get that repository up, that project up, the portal. If that comes up, is that going to come up? Yeah, new window. Let's just make sure that you can see all that. Let's bring that into view. Okay, I'm going to do a poll of the develop branch. Now, I've been doing a lot of work on my laptop over the course of last weekend, because last weekend I didn't do any streaming. I was just sat watching Marvel, apart from obviously damaging my back whilst doing the gardening. Before that, I was sat watching sort of Marvel films and The Mandalorian whilst doing these things. So there's a lot of change on the laptop that I need to pull through. I think. And I think I'm going to need to pull it through on the back end too. Let me just see before we get into the course notes. Let me. I've forgotten the commands. It's make install local dev, isn't it? And I need to do this as. Come on, give me my command back, please. I need to do nvm use stable on this one, and then there we go. Yeah, so for the past sort of week, I've just been doing like amateur yoga downstairs. Sort of when I get up, I just because I used to take yoga classes, so I kind of know a little bit, but not obviously. It's all gone, but my ability to stretch and all that stuff. So from the stuff that I've learned, I've been doing a little bit of that. I think it's my hip. I think it's my hip sort of hip area. On the left-hand side, it's extremely tight. So come on. And of course, before COVID, I was going to the gym. I was doing all sorts of stuff. I was looking after myself, and during COVID, I've put on 2 stone. I am a biff, and I'm trying to. I keep saying to myself that as soon as COVID's done, I'm going to get a full body MOT and just sort of go to doctors. I want to get my eyesight sorted. I've got other health conditions. I've got a heart condition, so I need to get that checked and okayed. Because I haven't seen the cardiologist. I've had 2 cardiologist appointments over the telephone. You can't check a heart over the telephone, I tell you. So I need to sort that out. But of course, you just can't do it. You just can't do it these times. These crazy times. Anyway, so this is the front end, and if I did log in, let's log in here, and went to courses and clicked on. It's a bit backwards. I need to sort this whole flow out. Okay, so here we go. So what I'm doing now is on each of the course pages, which is, well, the tutorial pages, which is this, we have notes and we have transcript. And the notes are what is in here, the course notes for the particular one, which in this case is HTML for beginners. So we got HTML beginners, and then we got the notes in here. So basically what's happening, I hate that word basically, but what is happening here is that we have a markdown file for each and every one of the tutorials within the course. So we have course notes, and then the course itself, and then a folder of notes. And in here we have a bunch of markdown files, starting with the number of the tutorial. So in this case it's number 1, and then the name of the tutorial.markdown.md, and that is this. Okay, and we can use Markdown to put in code and all sorts of other bits and pieces, which is really good, which is one of the reasons why I want to use it. The transcript is the transcript of the video. Now, it's so I would prefer to get the notes in first and then the transcript in, sort of not as an afterthought. I shouldn't really be saying this, but in my opinion, the notes are more important at this stage and then the transcript. They will all need to have a transcript, sure, but in my opinion, in terms of getting the screen reader done, I think getting the notes in is more important. The transcript is very tricky because I run it through a piece of software called Descript, which is fantastic. It's a lovely piece of software. It's paid for software, and you upload a video, it then does a transcription, and then you can download that and then upload it to here. But the thing is, because these are very old videos, there's lots of ums and ers and repeated words and things that just don't really make sense. Because we're talking about videos that are 4 or 5 years old, which still have merit. I mean, you'll still learn hyperlinks, for instance, from these videos, and you'll certainly get a lot of stuff from these notes, sure, but the transcripts aren't particularly useful right now. They will be eventually. I mean, the grand plan, the ultimate grand plan that I want to do here is get everything, all the notes in for all of the tutorials and all of the courses, and then do the transcripts, and then look at the content that we've got and then update this. So, for example, I would what's an example? A good example here is if we come out of the course notes and then look at something like HTML forms. Go into the notes. There is checkboxes and radio buttons, text areas and field sets. In my opinion, these should be 2 separate tutorials: a checkbox tutorial and a radio button tutorial, text area tutorial and a field set tutorial. So in the back of my head, I'm already thinking about redoing some of this content. However, the notes themselves are going to be fine, right? Because the notes are going to be kept up to date and current. So in terms of the transcript, getting the transcript in, because it's such a faff to do, and the knowledge of the fact that I would like eventually to redo these videos, the old ones at least. Getting the transcript for the old videos isn't such a huge importance in my opinion. However, I do realise that in terms of accessibility, getting a transcript in there is very vital, right? So yeah. Anyway, right. So this is the notes for the hyperlinks tutorial, which is this one here. We also have images. We also have HTML text formatting, I believe. There's a lot that we don't have. There's more that we don't have than we do. So there's 125-ish tutorials. There is 16 courses. So if we go over to here and just load up this bit. So we've got Docker for beginners, we've got Docker machine, we've got HTML for beginners, HTML forms, Jekyll, Linux Bash for beginners, MySQL console, PHP and MySQL, PHP Array, PHP Command Line, PHP control structures, PHP object oriented programming, PHP strings, Python control structures, Python for beginners, and Symfony 2.8 and services. And there is at least 2 other courses that I can think of right now that it's on YouTube, and I just need to port it over. So there's a lot of work to do. And even if I did one of these things, like if I did 1 note a day, right, it's going to take 125 days to do. So, and this is the problem. When I did the roadmap for last year, the How to Code Well roadmap, and I outlined, I even did it in a podcast, did it in a video. This is what I'm going to achieve this year. I only gave myself a month for content stocking, and that's ridiculous. And it got to a point where I was like, come on, I need to get this done. And how best to do it than to open it up to the community, because these videos are available on YouTube anyway. So it's not like I'm going to what am I trying to say? It's not like I'm going to damage the product or the service that I'm offering. In fact, I think it's going to enhance the product and the service that I'm offering. The ability for people to actually go, there is something in these notes that you haven't mentioned, or perhaps there's a typo, or perhaps there's something that needs to be explained slightly differently. Then you can go in yourself and update it and create a pull request and be a part of it. So this becomes more community driven. In fact, one thing I'm thinking of doing is changing this from notes to be community notes, because that's what they essentially are. Now there isn't really it's not very obvious. That's what the word is. It's not very obvious that this is community-based GitHub notes. So that's something that I would like to do in the future, is have a button that says edit this, that takes you to GitHub for you to create your pull request. So I mean that would be lovely to do. But all of these grand ideas, they're going to prevent me from actually providing the content. So that's what I need to do. Now, what I'm going to do today is, where it says work in progress down here, these are all the ones that have the blank placeholders for the actual markdown file. So for example, if I go to Docker machine and then click on notes, you can see that these are in here, but they are all set to work in progress. If I was to click onto this one, for instance, it says notes coming soon, edit these notes. Because essentially what I would like to do is this will, once the build's done, will be, if I go to courses and then, what was that, Docker machine? I forget. Yeah, Docker machine, which was this one here. If I clicked on new, it would be the replacement for this. Now, at the moment, all of this stuff is kind of in the CMS. So there is a piece of work that I need to do to incorporate and integrate the build to grab the course notes, and that's half built already, so that's no problem. And we might tackle a little bit of that today. But really, what I want to do is go through these course notes, especially all the ones that don't say WIP, and then put the placeholders in, and then create the issues. So in the issues, I've got 23 issues which just say missing course notes, 04 structure variables, and directories. If I clicked on this one, for instance, it's just going to come up with this issue with a link to the note that I need to create. So if I clicked on this, it should take me to that notes coming soon. So if I edit this, that would be the PR. So what I want to do today is go through this lot, all of this lot. So from MySQL console all the way to Symfony, and I want to create the placeholder notes for each tutorial that we have. So there's going to be a bit of jumping to and fro between the front end and here, creating markdown files and then creating the issues and then working our way through this. I mean, that's the only way to do it, right? Is to use GitHub like a to-do list and work our way through. And that's what I'm going to do. Excuse me. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to take this hoodie off because it's starting to get really warm with these studio lights. And I'm also going to make myself a cup of tea. So I will be back very, very shortly, and we will start working through. But what I'll do, I tell you what, before I dive off, I'm going to let me just put this. Let me just put the GitHub repo in the chat, just in case anybody's interested. And at the moment, the howtocodewell.net website, the home, the live site. So if you go to howtocodewell.net, if you clicked on one of these, it's going to take you straight to the YouTube playlist. So what we're doing is we're creating markdown files for each one of these tutorials within the playlist. Eventually, of course, once all of these features are done, it's going to be, you would log in and then you would access the course notes, like Docker for Beginner. Well, let's do HTML for Beginners because I know that's the one, and then yeah. So eventually it will be like this, but at the moment it is just jumping off from here to there. So I'll put in howtocodewell.net in the chat too. Right, I'm just going to take the jumper off, and then I'm going to grab a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, but I'll be back very shortly. Hello. I've got a cup of tea at the ready. Whoop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is obviously get the buttons right. Lol. And then I'm going to create an issue itself about this. And I think, yeah. So add all the tutorial templates. Okay, so we're just going to create a little list here, like a things to do sort of checklist type thing. So we've done all these, I think. Have we done Docker for Beginners on notes? Yes, we have. Okay. So we've done Docker for Beginners, and we've also done everything up to Linux Bash for Beginners, I think. That's correct. Yeah, okay. So remember, these are all placeholders at the second. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's go to the MySQL course. We probably don't have anything in here. No, we don't. So, okay, let's go over to the actual course, which is there. 17 tutorials, meaning that we need to have 17 markdown files for each one of these things. So the first one is going to be basics. So let's do well, I'll tell you what, MySQL, let's just do them by course rather than by tutorial. That's probably better, and then I can just tick the courses as I've done them. So we've got MySQL, that's fine, let's get rid of that for a second. We also have PHP and MySQL. So PHP and MySQL, there's no need to have course at the end, it's just duplication, because these are going to be the lists of courses that we need to have the templates for. Next one is PHP Array. That's a big one. That's the one that's still happening, still going on. In fact, we have tutorials going out next week on Monday. We have a tutorial going out for that. PHP Array. PHP Command Line is the next one. Can't spell command. I mean, that's another thing, right? Why I would like to open source this is the fact that I'm terrible when it comes to my spelling. PHP control structures. I am dyslexic. PHP control structures. And other people can do a better job than I can. I mean, obviously, I'll attempt it, right? Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this, sure. So, and then PHP OOP. Next one is PHP strings. But it would just be nice to open this up to the community and like just say, look, you know, everybody's learning here. If you spot anything, it's not only going to help you, but it's going to help others. It's a community-based thing, right? So PHP control structures. I've done a lot of PHP, haven't I? Next one is PHP. Have I done strings already? I've done command line control structures OOP. Command line control structures OOP strings. No, that's duplication. PHP control. Why is there 2 in there? Oh, hello. Oh, that's Python. Sorry. That's Python. That's Python. Okay. Next one. After the Python, it is Python for beginners. Obviously, none of this is in any kind of order. It's just the order in which they're falling into. So Python for beginners. There we go. Next one is Symfony 2.8. It's downstairs making a cuppa, and my Apple Watch just went ding. You've met your stand target for the day. Well, I'm going to be standing a lot more. Services. There we go. Services. No problem. I mean, that's all part of it, isn't it, Mr. DB303? You know, getting a pull request, doing it through Git, all of that stuff. It's, you know, it's all part and parcel of development. So this is awesome. Yeah, I mean, if you can help me out, that'd be great. No problem. Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing this as kind of like the lifeblood, I guess, over the videos in terms of how to code well. So this isn't going to go away. And the more courses, the more tutorials that we add, the more content that we're going to need. So it's not going to be a case of once this is done. It's going to be like this is from here on out. This is how the notes are going to be held. So there's no what I'm trying to say is there's no rush, you know, because I mean, from my point of view, there's a bit of a rush because, you know, obviously I want to get all of these things done and dusted. But the point is that this is something that can be improved and enhanced and iterated over throughout time. So there's no great worry. It doesn't have to be all done in. I'm not putting a deadline on it. That's something that I've learnt the hard way. I made that roadmap, which it's very embarrassing. I watched it last night of what I was saying. I don't like watching myself on YouTube, but I wanted to remember what I said on the roadmap, all the things that I mentioned on the roadmap, and I was just like, nope, that's not done. Nope, that's not done. No, that's not done. So I'm going to be a little bit loosey-goosey with the whole timelines, I think, going forward, because I obviously need to spend some time to actually think about how much time is involved, and then double it. Because I can't believe I thought this was all going to take a month. It's crazy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is create some labels. So we've got use some labels. We've got a label down here, I think, called Missing Course Notes. Boom. And another one which is documentation. Milestone. I've created a milestone without a date, but it's all notes are created and it's a first pass. And I think what I'm going to do is that's good. I think that's all good. I'll assign this to myself, and then I'll submit the new issue. And essentially now, this is my little checkbox, so I can tick and untick and all of this jazz. This is the little checkbox, I suppose. Actually, let's just put in, just in case I don't finish this today. These courses are missing their tutorial templates, which are just markdown files. Okay, so what I need to do now is to go through each one of these courses on the website, which is locally, and I probably need to log in once more. So for example, the MySQL one, MySQL, which where did that go? That one. I need to create a markdown file for each one. If I clicked on the thing, for each one of these things. And then what I need to do is I need to create an issue for, if I go into issues, I need to create an issue for each one as well, because then I'll be using the issues to then create the pull requests, or at least reference the issues from the pull requests, and then mark this one as complete. So let's start. Let's create, what number is this? 31. I'm going to just create a, in course notes, I'm going to create a new branch in here. And obviously you would fork this, right? But because I've got the ownership, I can just create a branch and then do, what am I going to call this? Sort of, it's a feature, I suppose. Features, doesn't really matter. Course note templates, because that's what they are. Or let's do tutorial templates, that's probably better. Okay. And then the idea is that we go into, say, MySQL, which, if I can find it, where did that go? Here, that's MySQL console. Click on notes, and then I want to create a note in here. So I'm going to just copy one of these. Copy, yep. And then I'm going to paste it into here. And the convention is the number of the tutorial number. In this case, it's 1. And then the tutorial itself is called, I think it's basics. So that's what we're going to do. Basics, like so. And it's just going to have edit these notes with a link. That's all it's going to do at this stage. It's going to be a bit boring, this, unfortunately, but I'm literally going to go through. So that's dropping tables. And I'm going to, oops, that needs to be 02, of course, refactor rename. Um, 03, whoops. Bear with me. Okay, cool. 03, dropping databases. 04 is create a database and table. So create and table. Yeah. And the next one, I think this one's quite a large course. It was actually this one was the first course I created on YouTube. So this one is very old. How to change null fields in a table schema. But in the world of YouTube, this is what's called Greenfield Content. How to change? How? I do a lot of Greenfield content. How to change? No, I'm not one of those YouTubers. I hate that word, YouTuber. I'm not one of those YouTube channels that does like shock kind of drama, kind of, you know, clickbaity stuff. Fields in a table. In my opinion, it feels disingenuous. Hang on a minute. Fields in a table schema. In a table schema. So what I do instead is I try and create. My tea's ready. I had a timer to tell me when the brewing has stopped. There we go. Nice. Yeah, so Greenfield content is content that is like content that is evergreen, as in like I did these tutorials like years and years ago. I mean, there's even the link to my old website there, but it's still content that is used. It's not like trending content. Nobody's going to find this trending. How to change null fields in a table schema. That's it. So yeah, my whole sort of YouTube career has kind of been just like the tortoise and the, what's that that thing? It's the tortoise and is it the tortoise and the cheetah or something like that? I'm the tortoise. I played a long game. 5, 6. There we go. 6. Renaming and changing table columns. I remember that there was a part of YouTube, a time in which I was sort of learning. I still am, obviously, learning about YouTube and uploading and all of this stuff, renaming. And I was like, I discovered that if you created a clickbaity thing, then you would obviously get more views, and therefore you would get more potential subscribers. And it took a while for me to click that was actually what a lot of people were doing, and that I was actually being sucked in. And then watching the channels, renaming and changing, watching the channels on a yearly cycle, and they would always do changing table columns, very similar things. Like they would post up a thumbnail in which they were suggesting that they were going to leave YouTube, and they weren't. It was just like either someone was going on holiday, or they've just slightly changed some of the content that they were doing, but they would do this constantly throughout the year. And then the one that is really funny is the and I did this. It's those videos where it's like what you should be learning in 2020 or 2021 in this case, and it's like, I've got no authority to tell you what you should be learning in 2021. I've got no idea what you're doing. I did that, and I even did a video once where I ranked programming languages, and it felt so dirty doing it, but everyone else was doing it, so I thought, that's the thing I need to do, because you would see that there was a huge amount of people watching these things. What's the trendy thing? And then they would have bum fights in the comments over what programming language is better than another programming language. And that was the thing. That was an engagement trigger from YouTube to then, promote the video even more. And I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is not the culture I want to breed. The community. So yeah, slow and steady wins the race, in my opinion. This is number 6, renaming and changing table columns. Renaming and changing table columns. Yeah, that's right. Peter created a MySQL course, and you won't believe what happened next. Right? Yeah. Or the top 10 programming languages to learn in 2021. You won't believe the number 9. Yeah, that's right. And you look at these things and you're like, that's not providing any educational content whatsoever. It's just encouraging that kind of culture. And I remember spending like weekends where I was just like, what can I do? What can I do to shock people in order to watch the stuff? And I was coming up with these crazy ideas, and then I just, and it was so wild. There's this really weird culture in YouTube where people want that. People want the drama. People care about the drama. They feel like they become part of the drama, right? I mean, it's programming, for Christ's sake. programming. I'm even writing programming. How to program. What was the thing? How to change the extra value in a table schema. How to change the. Now I'm not sure how to change the extra value. Here we go. I'm not sure how. Because I haven't built it yet, the whole fact of, the build actually reading these markdown files in. I was playing with it the other evening, and there is a Gatsby plugin that you can use to do this. But I was thinking maybe that there would be perhaps a better way of doing it using a manifest, like a JSON file that created an order and also put in some metadata. I don't know. I'm still trying to work that through. Extra value in a table. Is that .md? Yeah. Number 8. How to change the extra value. Hang on a minute. How to change the default values. Oh wait. Could I just not do this and then? This is probably a quicker way of doing it, isn't it? Let's copy the actual title, paste this in, and then put in. Change that down to HT to change default. How to change default fields. That's an easier way. Just because I'm not sure whether this convention is a good idea. Because what happens if I want to change the name of the tutorial? Because like I said, these tutorials are very old, right? And I might want to change, like this, basics of what, right? I might want to change that to say MySQL basics or something, MySQL basics or something like that. MySQL, whatever it's called, change the name of the tutorial. It's actually called MySQL. I always get that wrong. 7, 8. So I'm not sure whether I should use the file names to dictate it, or whether I should create a JSON file within each of these folders to list the order. And then read the JSON file, and then read the markdown files into GraphQL, because that's what the plugin was doing, and then reading the markdown files directly into the actual HTML of Gatsby. I was reading something on Twitter earlier, talking about drama. There's so much drama in this programming world. Vue versus React, right? And people saying that people who've taken on React in 2020 are going to deeply regret it in 2021 because new things are happening in Vue and all this lot, and Next.js and all of this jazz. It's funny. JavaScript is funny. The community is funny. You don't get this in PHP, do you? Well, you do. You get people saying that Laravel's better than Symfony and all of this jazz. But I suppose because there's fewer frameworks in PHP, there's less of that sort of less of the drama, I suppose. A new kid on the block is few and far between when it comes to frameworks of PHP. And I suppose that helps the stability of PHP, I guess. That and also PSR, the PSR standards. So we're on 9. What's the next one? 9, 10. How to select. Kind of part of the reason why I do mostly stuff to do with non-frameworky stuff is because the frameworks change, especially in JavaScript, so often. And in my opinion, doing a course on a framework is less of a greenfield thing than doing a course on an actual programming language, because the programming language itself isn't going to change drastically over the years. So for example, this MySQL course that we're doing here, which one are we on? 10. You can watch this course on version 8 of MySQL, sorry, and then you can watch, or you could watch this on like version 5, and it's going to make sense. But even doing a course on, say, NPM, which I've done before, a couple of videos on it, you've got things like Deno and all that lot that's coming out, and it's, you know, nipping at the heels of NPM. So it's not, in my opinion, it's not really Greenfield. Next one is, how many have we got on there? 17. God, jeez. Updating records in a MySQL. This is a big job. This is a big job. And I don't think it's going to get done before this goes out, just because of the sheer number of things. But by doing it in an open source kind of manner like this, it means that I can pick it up and put it down. That should be 11. 11. We're on 12 using aliases. God, I remember doing these. This is a blast from the past, all of these. Hang on, I've copied that, haven't I? Let's paste that in. That should be 12. And it's this. Yeah, I mean, this takes me back. I was doing this when I was at university. This is how old these courses are. I was at uni, or I just finished uni, I should say. I was in my first ever job whilst I was doing this, my first ever web development job. And at the time, I had no idea. Well, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of YouTube, and I had no idea whether these tutorials would actually help anybody. In fact, it's a funny old story doing this. I built this course to get a job, which sounds daft, but after university, I think I've mentioned this several times, but there was a recruitment agent that I was speaking to, as I was speaking to many recruitment agents, and they mentioned something that stuck with me, and they said, I wish there was a way that you could demonstrate your skills, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing here. To demonstrate your skills, as there's so many people in the same boat as you, who've just come out of uni and looking for a job, and all I've got is a CV. And I took that, like, you know, that to me was like lighter paper. I was like, wow, there's this new thing called YouTube that's just come out, and I can do a screen recording to show you what I know. And I did. And I can remember sat in my, at the time I was living with my parents. And I remember just taking weekends off to do this and build this particular course using a really old, I think it was a desktop. This was all done on Windows. I can't remember what the screen recording thing was. Which one's this? 14 now. 14. And yeah, I remember just doing it just for fun. It was like, and I very much doubt this helped me get the job at all. I mean, the employer that I was with at the time never mentioned it. So I did like four of these tutorials, the first 4 I think, in this course, and I put them up on my that's my MySQL, isn't it? And I put this up on, is that MySQL? No, I was going to say it's not PHP, is it? using the upper function in MySQL. Yeah. What was I saying? 13, that should be 14. Sorry, I'm chatting whilst doing some mundane tasks. Yeah, so I don't know whether I very much doubt this helped me get the position, the first position. And then what I did was, when I got the job, obviously I was super busy, and I was junior, right? I was green, just come out of uni, thought I knew everything, but in fact I knew nothing. And so my weekends were taken up by studying all the things that I didn't get taught at university. And so I left YouTube for a while. I can't remember the actual duration. I think it was like maybe a year, maybe more. And I just left. That's still saying I. Why is it saying I? And I left it for ages, and it was, it should be 15. I'm always doing this. And I left it for ages, and then someone asked me to upload a video. Someone asked me to do that, and I was just like, yeah, hang on a minute, I have a YouTube channel, I could just put it there. And it was one of those kind of like, oh yeah, now I remember I've got this YouTube channel with these 4 videos on, after a year of putting them on. And I hadn't seen the because I wasn't looking at the Google mailbox, because I created a specific mailbox just for email for this, and I hadn't checked it for ages, for a year or however long it was. Number 16 now, aren't I? Yeah, I am number 16. Woo. And I was really shocked, but when I opened it up, when I remembered what my login details were, and then I saw all of these lovely notifications from people, asking where is the next tutorial in this course. And I was like, hang on, this is bonkers. Because I had thought that I would do these 4, put them on the CV, because that's something that other people won't have, right? Concat WS. And function in MySQL. I don't know why that's putting in the I in all the time. And I got the job. I then got extremely busy with the job, and then so I just, left YouTube to rot, basically. Thinking nothing of it, thinking it was disposable content. Then I got back to it, and then it was just like, oh my god, there's lots of people asking me where the next course is. There's lots of people asking, they've got questions about the tutorials that I've created. And it went very quickly from becoming a selfish thing, this is what I can do, recruitment agent, look at me, to, oh my gosh, this could be a tool to actually help people out. And then I remember taking, I think it was another 6 months, maybe a year off, because it was one of those things. If I made the decision, if I was to do it, I would need to do it as to my best ability. I needed to plan it. So I took a long time off. And I actually needed to think myself as to whether I was good enough to do it. Because remember, at the time I was junior, and there was people asking for me to provide them with course material. Something that I had never had expected would happen. So there was a lot of sort of soul searching in MySQL at that stage. Am I able to do this? Can I pull this off? And I still ask myself that question all the time. Woo, we've done MySQL console. Woo, MySQL. Can't even say it Yeah, and to this day, I'm blown away by people's comments. So let's do adding tutorial templates. Right, let's move on to the next course. Yeah. And then I sat down and I got a plan together, and I finished this course. I was like, you can't just teach MySQL in 4 tutorials, and so I used this as an experiment to see, what it's like to actually build a course. And I chose to do. I think I originally wanted to do 20 tutorials here, but I stopped at 17. I don't know why. I think I got bored. But I quickly did a PHP, I think it was a strings one, I think, after this. Because I was like, right, I need to do another programming language, otherwise I'm going to be typecast as a database administrator. Okay, so I tell you what, let's go over to here. Oh, what we could do in the pull requests, in the issues, sorry, is, because it's an issue, I can't. Okay, never mind, don't worry. Let's go over to here and see what's next on the list. Yeah, no, I can do it, sorry, I've done that one. Tick that one off. PHP and MySQL. PHP and MySQL, where are you? Where are you? PHP arrays, here we go. In the notes. And I'm going to paste this one into here, and we're going to rename that to be, what are we going to rename this to be? PHP MySQL. How to connect MySQL. This was an interesting course I did. Because as the years went on, I started to learn more and more, and I taught myself Docker. I moved to different roles, to different jobs. I went from working at an awesome web development agency in Wiltshire, PHP via PHP. I'm going to lowercase all this stuff, and I moved. It was a relatively small team. It was a really nice team of people, and I moved from there to a relatively big team. I worked in the second position that I've ever been in at FastHosts, which is a hosting company. So I spent 4 years working at the web development company, web development agency down in Wiltshire, and then after those 4 and a bit years, I then travelled to Gloucester, which is where I live now, and how to connect to MySQL and PHP. Yeah, okay. And I've just done that. Okay. And anyway, yeah, so I started working at FastHosts, and it was a massive, from what I had, what my experience was, it was a massive step up in terms of just the sheer number of people to work with. Anyway. So I was working there for a few years, and then I moved on to other places, and so we're talking maybe 5, maybe 6 years on into the career, and then I did Docker, taught myself Docker, and then I created this Docker for Beginners course, which I'm yet to. That's what I need. But, is that how to select? Yeah, how to select records. Anyway, so once I did the Docker course, Manning got hold of me too, and I did my Docker for Beginners course for Manning Publications, which was great, and I really, really enjoyed that. That was my first ever taste of doing a sort of quote-unquote commercial course for an actual company that does online learning. So there was a lot of learning with that in regards to actually, structuring a course in a proper way. And also getting it reviewed. So I got that course reviewed by a team of Docker engineers and Manning themselves. That was incredibly scary. Incredibly. But extremely humbling. And anyway, the point of this story is that for that course, I need to change that to be 3, don't I? For that particular course, I needed to create a website to show how to use PHP and MySQL in different Docker containers. And so I thought, I need to create a website, and I'm going to create a very basic shopping cart, right? So you can do various bits and pieces, add orders and all that stuff. And then I thought, hang on a minute, as I'm building the website, I could turn that into a course itself, and which is where this course has come in. So this code is actually coming off of the back of that Docker in Motion course for this, and I used this as kind of a drive to that Docker for Beginners Docker in Motion course. So people who would learn this would get a sort of a message at the end of the video, or an advert that would suggest that they would, to use this on Docker, go to that course. So I kind of used this as kind of like it was an interesting, from a marketing point of view, it was quite interesting. And in fact, I created a website with this code on it using the Docker containers that I had built, called dockerinmotion.com, and unfortunately it's not up at the moment, but yeah, that was a fun thing to do. I kind of went all out on the project. And this course, is one of those courses that it kind of teaches you how to delete it teaches you the very common things to do with PHP and MySQL, MySQL, sorry. So, how to connect to the database, how to select records, how to insert records, in this case, how to delete MySQL rows in PHP. And it's actually quite interesting, because these are the things that I wasn't really taught at university to do. Is that in with an I? This is quite a nostalgic kind of journey down memory lane, all of these things. So that's number 4. Number 5 was how to filter input variables. And I added this tutorial in because I was like, hang on a minute, I need to explain that you can't just put in bare values into that's been given by the browser through a form or what have you. You can't just add bare values in without any form of cleansing, data sanitation, anything like that, any filtering. So this tutorial isn't actually I don't think there's much MySQL involved with it, but this is how to clean up the input, how to filter. And it's one of those things with what I've done over the years with YouTube. It's kind of like trying as much as possible to teach the best practice as much as possible in did I know in advance that I was going to check with the Docker folk? This is a question from Mr. DB303. No, I don't, or I didn't know I knew it was going to be verified, but they didn't say who by. and checked. And at the time, I was mostly worried about the audio quality. They were picking me up on all sorts of things, quite rightly so, to do with my pronunciation, because it's an American. It needed to be American, essentially. So things like data, router, and all of that stuff, and run and ran, and all of this stuff. There's lots of little changes and tweaks and stuff. The course itself took a long time, but no, I didn't think it was going. I didn't know at the time it was going to be verified by Docker engineers when I started. But my word, was that a nice learning curve to do, and a fantastic opportunity. I suggest if anybody gets an opportunity to do a course like this, where you get that level of, not exposure, but that level of contact by people who are obviously far better at it than you, go for it. It's terrifying, but do it. Because the conversations that we were having privately were brilliant, and it opened my eyes up to a lot of stuff. It's funny. People think that when you do a course, you know every single little bit about what you're doing. But in fact, I don't. I don't. I mean, a lot of these courses, for example, Jekyll, for instance, or Linux Bash for Beginners, for instance, a lot of these courses, I've had to study so much before actually doing the course. And in fact, what's his face? Carl Cook, bless him. Carl Cook from Web Dev Simplified. He's been on the podcast a few times. He did a very good video not so long ago about how he does tutorials. He does a lot of JavaScript stuff, front-end stuff on his Web Dev Simplified channel. Really, really good. And he did this video where he was demonstrating how he was recording a course, and it's spot on. It really is. You have multiple screens, and one of the screens has all your notes on that has been pre-written. All the code that you've done pre-written. You know exactly what you're going to do. You've planned this out for days, if not weeks in advance. And you yourself have gone through a process of learning to get to the point where you feel comfortable enough to actually do it as a learning course. So for me, this is the best way for me to improve as a developer myself, is to do these courses. That's what it boils down to, really. Okay, so I've just done that one. This one is large. This one's humongous. PHP Array, it's 12. I know it's more than 12. I know it's more than 12. Because if I go down here, we're on 22. So it's 12 just because there's only 12 records in the database in our back end for Symfony, for the API. But in fact, there's 22 videos, and by the time I finish with it, we've got another 4, I think, coming through. So there'll be 26. But at the moment, I think if I go to courses, it just says 12. So we'll just do the 12 for now, and then I'll probably put in another issue when I get to that sort of when I've done all the notes. So right, let's get back to the code a minute. So PHP Array, this is where we're at now. Oh, let me just commit this in. Adding tutorial templates, that's fine. And I mean, this is another thing, right? This course here, the PHP Array Course. Essentially, this course will cover eventually every single PHP array function available in PHP. That's the plan. Or with this course, as well as with the JavaScript, one of the JavaScript courses. And I was thinking the other evening, planning for 2021, in the courses and how best to do this, because now we've got this website, which we've never had before, which allows me to create these tutorial pages and embed videos and all of this jazz. We've never had this before. So technically, we've done really well this year. That's what I'm trying to say. But I was thinking about how to plan 2021 going forward. Is that number one? Is it? Yeah. And the thing that I've learned with YouTube is that consistency is king, right? You've got to keep consistency. You've got to keep it going. Unfortunately, over the last few months, consistency has dropped purely because of how busy I've been with work, and if I'm being 100% honest, COVID has not helped my mental health at all, and getting the motivation to do this has been quite difficult. But anyway, that's by the by. So anyway, what I'm saying is that consistency has taken a bit of a hit this year, at the end of the year, unfortunately, and it's something that I want to improve in 2021 going forward. Anyway, with consistency, you've got to make sure that you actually upload a video, at least one video every week. Okay, one video every week. That is the bare minimum for YouTube. In my opinion. This is number 3. Which means that there's 52 videos to do. Right? 52 videos to produce in a year. Bare minimum. And what I do at have I pasted that in? Number 3. How to get the last... Yeah, I have. So what I do is every Monday, I publish a video. That's my intention. Every Monday morning, publish a video. And before COVID life, we were doing so much. We were doing a video on Monday. We were doing a video on Friday, doing the whole podcast thing. So in the evenings, on a working evening, I would interview someone. And record that, and then push that out on the Friday. That would become, the audio would then go to the podcast, and so that was 2 videos a week. And then I would do live streaming, right? So that was, and at times that was 3 times a week I would do live streaming. So that's 2 videos to YouTube, and then 3 to Twitch, plus a podcast. That was how it was. That was when all cylinders were firing. This is how to get the first and last. Here we go. When all the cylinders were firing, that was how it was happening. But now, I'm starting to think that I can't do that. I mean, certainly not with the current workload that I've got at the moment. I can't do that. There was also a time back in the day where I had the ability to take a day off from my contract work, because one of the clients that I was with at the time allowed me to do that. So it was a 4-day week, which meant that Fridays were just pure how to code well. And I don't think I certainly didn't realize at the time how valuable that was. And then what I try to do is I try to fit everything in when I was with other clients, and I couldn't do that, and therefore it started to dip, and the productivity started to dip, because obviously they come first, right? They come first. But then I guess at the end of this year it started to spiral a little bit, because, you know, being so busy, just not being in a great state of mind to do it, you know, really didn't want. There was a period this year where, you know, sadly I'm one of those. Yeah, it's just not been a great. Some months haven't been fantastic, so I don't really wasn't in the mood to speak to anybody. Let's just say that. So the podcast kind of suffered, and and I started to feel a little bit inwards. I suppose everybody does, you know, with this COVID kind of world. It's not great. But anyway, what I'm saying is 2021, I want to provide at least one video a week. That is the bare minimum, and that's the thing that I'm going to strive for. Number five. How to check if PHP variable is... Yeah, that's correct. So every Monday I want to produce a tutorial which is going to go into one of these courses, and we're probably going to... we are going to continue on with this array course. We're going to cover every function in PHP land, and there is another course which is doing the same thing but for JavaScript 6. And I think 2021 is going to just be sort of kind of, I don't want to say putting it in maintenance mode, because it's not, because I'm building this website which is new, so it's not maintenance mode. But I just think that 2021 I may be uploading less just to keep the quality up, because that's the thing, right? If you start getting lowering consistency, you start rushing, and when you start rushing you start making mistakes, and I can't let How to Code Well start making mistakes. I just can't do it. So I need to think about the things that I can drop and the things that I need to, you know, the things that are really important. And to me, it's these courses. Is this number 7? Yeah. It's the courses, the tutorials, the Greenfield content, the essence of How to Code Well. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is sit down, make a list of of 52 tutorials, how to shuffle a PHP array, and then put them in a calendar, and then force myself to do them. Force yourself. It sounds awful, doesn't it? I enjoy doing them, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, in the last few months, I need that enjoyment back. I need to get back on the wagon. The thing is, when you're doing other work and you're a contractor and you're working from home, it becomes like a busman's holiday, you know? It's like, oh, I'm writing code again. And also I think because I simply just haven't been able to have a holiday this year. We haven't gone anywhere for a holiday because of COVID. That in itself, I haven't been able to give myself a reset. Anyway, I'm gonna stop talking about this, because it's gonna sound like I'm whining and moaning, and that's not. This isn't therapy. I don't even know how we got onto this subject. It's funny, isn't it? You just end up chatting, thinking aloud. Where are we now? Are we on number 9? Yeah. I had great intentions, you see, of creating a course every 3 months. So every quarter we would create a course. A course being a paid-for course. I remember a few years ago, when I was considering doing Udemy courses. For that would be the thing for How to Code Well. When I was properly considering that, I was like, right, we need to make a course every 3 months, as well as the 52 videos a year. So if your course was, say, 20 videos long, right, and you were doing 4 of those a year, plus 52 videos on YouTube, because you want to do at least one a week, suddenly the amount of content that you are having to do is huge. This is why planning these things is really important. And when I'm in the flow of doing the videos, I can probably produce 3 or 4 a day. Produce them, not edit them. I can record them and get them to where I want them to be, and then editing takes a lot of time. So I can probably do about 3 or 4. And I got to a point I forget the month, but there was a month where I was basically doing 3 on, 3 off. So every day I would do this. Yeah, this is when I'm sadly going back to COVID again. When I didn't have any work, I was recording 3 videos a day and editing 3 videos a day. That's how I rolled. And that was brilliant, but it's weird. I went into this stupid. I got too cocky and I thought, yeah, I can do all this. This is fine. Obviously, I wasn't working, so I had the time. And I remember there was one month where I decided that I would put out a tutorial every day. Idiot. Never do that. Because I was like, yeah, I can keep this going. This is fine. I can keep this going. I'm going to have enough content to finish for the whole year. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. And then, I'll get back into work. It's going to be perfect. But I foolishly ran out of content, ran out of tutorials. Because I had my head in the clouds thinking that I could do it. And now we got to the end of October, start of November, where, oops, that needs to be 12, doesn't it? Where I ran out of tutorials. So I'm kind of kicking myself, so I won't be doing that again. But that brings another challenge into focus, because how do we define what is a course that is paid and a course that's free? Because all of the stuff that I've done here is available on YouTube, and so technically it's free, right? You can watch it, and obviously with adverts and stuff. But in the future, I want to have the platform How to Code Well as a means of people to access premium courses, which are, recorded slightly differently, or, cover these things in more depth. So I was thinking yesterday really, how do I do that? How do I split this? And also, how do you manage the workload? So I've come up with an idea, and I don't know if this is going to fully work, but the idea is, let me just check how to check if a PHP key exists. That's correct. So I'm going to do commit here, and then adding tutorial templates in, and then that's good. So yeah, the plan is, the very loose plan that I have is that, these tutorials are very sort of, this is a function and this is what the function does, right? This is a part of the programming language. I'm not giving you any kind of project, right? That's the key word here. It's just teaching you how to shuffle a PHP array, or how to create a PHP array range, or how to check if a PHP variable is an array. So very singular. But what I would love to do, time permitting, obviously, time permitting, and I think this is the thing that's going to get me excited again to do these things, is to do projects. You know, a project on perhaps logging in and logging out using HTML and PHP and MySQL, or a project on building a Gatsby website, or a project on, I don't know, using Docker to serve web pages or whatever, or, you know, a project on building a calculator in JavaScript, or a project on such and such. The idea was based on, you know, every month we do these coding challenges, something like that, but in a course form. And, you know, ideally I would like to do 4 a year, so one every quarter. And ideally I would like to have between 10 and 20 tutorials per course in that. Now, I don't for 1 minute think that I'm going to have the capacity to do 52 tutorials, which are free for YouTube, as well as 4 20 tutorial courses as well. That just scares me, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. But I might be able to do at least 1 or 2, potentially. Maybe if they were 10 tutorials rather than 20. It's a fight with time. It would be so nice if I could do this. What am I doing? It'd be so nice if I could do this full time, because then I would be able to have a load of time to then do all these things in the order in which I believed should be done. But unfortunately, I have to work with the time that I can. I want to look at the command line. I think this one's a small course. PHP Command Line. Yeah. There, yeah, it's only 3. Which the first one is how to discover PHP features in the command line. But this is an example. This tutorial is an example of a feature that I didn't know existed until I actually did this course. A lot of these courses are things that I've taught myself and then decided to teach others. .md. Is that .md.md? Have I just done that? No, I've created a PHP file. Ugh, that's silly. Refactor, delete. Is it time for another cup of tea? Oh, have I just literally deleted? That's it. How does this discover? I've spelled that correctly, good. And then the next one is how to use the PHP interactive shell. Yeah, so I'm quite disappointed with the fact that I wasn't able to achieve what I had set out to achieve in the roadmap. I wanted to do what I quote unquote hard launch in December. Ugh, just listening to that makes me cringe. I forget which episode of the podcast that was, but it was one where I had this grand plan. I had a notebook in front of me and I was reading off of the notes. And so at the currently I don't know when I'm going to release this to the wild. There's certainly a lot to do. So both content wise and technically wise. So we still need to we still need to finalize the actual logging in and logging out, and we need to we need the ability to read these markdown files into these notes. I think that's that one, isn't it? That's done. Next on the list is, let's just commit these. Yeah. So there's a lot to do. A lot to do. Right. Next is control structures. Here we go. Control structures. Control structures. It's just this one. Sweet. And then let's look at the website rather than the actual command line. Where are you? Control structures. Oh, okay. I need to log in my timer as. There we go. Courses. See all courses. Control structures. Where are we? That's Python. Command line. Object orient. Here we go. 6 tutorials in this one. This is another old course. Yikes. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it sucks. I mean, I said on the roadmap that I didn't want to build the foundations for this. I didn't want to keep building the foundations for this in 2021. I wanted to have the foundations created. So I'm a little gutted, to be fair. To be honest. But on reflection, we have done a huge amount of work. I mean, this was all in microservices at one point. We had a service for every thing on the back end. So we had an auth service and a course service and a tutorial service and a subscription service and a user service and all of that jazz. And then that got boiled down into what it is at the moment, which is the API. Then we built the content management system. So we've done a massive amount of work. We did the content management system. We also upgraded to Symfony 5, right? We built the front end. Before this started, there wasn't a front end. So in a year, we built a front end CMS. Upgraded the CMS and the API to Symfony. We put it onto AWS. We created deployment scripts, Lambda scripts, all those kind of things that you don't necessarily think about when you come to start a project. So I think technically we are in a very, very good place. It just, from a business stroke project manager's point of view, we are nowhere near where we want to be. But then that's the thing, isn't it? Are those kind of, our project managers and business owners, are they ever happy? Because there's always the next thing that they need to do. It's been an interesting journey to have both of those hats on, a developer's hat as well as someone who is intending this to be a business, as well as someone who is deeply passionate about the product. Is that correct? 5 while loops? No. 1, 2. I need 3. 3 is a for loop. because there are days where I'm like, it's just this. I just need to do this. I just need to do this, and it's live. I just need to do this, and it's ready. I just need to do this, and there we go. And then there's other days where it's like, but this bug really needs, a developer's eye on it. We need to think about the future. We need to, And then there's the other dev side of it where it's like, oh, let's learn the new shiny thing. Let's learn how to do this and learn how to do that. So tightrope walking is quite fun. Has been quite an interesting journey. I know what will happen. As soon as this is launched, and as soon as people are using it, and as soon as this starts bringing in revenue, the business side is going to take more of a driving force, I think. Which is fine. That's obviously how it's gonna happen, because as soon as it starts, because essentially I want to do this full time, and therefore I need to what am I doing? That's not the thing. It's not on my clipboard anymore. Adding tutorial templates. Tutorial templates. Yes, definitely. Definitely, it's a better way to learn. I deeply agree with you there. Yeah. Much better to have a project, an end goal in sight, something that you can take away and use, and say, I built that. That's the joy of web development. The fact that you can build something that is usable in a very short space of time, and you go away learning something that you can take to another project. It's not just, I know what this function does. It's I know what this function does in the ecosystem that I'm building. The OOP. So I think that will be the difference between a free course and a paid course. I think the free courses are going to be, this is what this means, this is what that does, this is what this function does. Whereas a project is going to be, let's build this thing using all of the functions that we know about. And then I can use the free courses as a prerequisite to the paid courses. I think that's probably where I'm going to go. PHP OOP, that's what I'm doing, which is not this one. PHP OOP, this one, 6. Now this course itself, I need to... this is terrible, right? Beginners lesson 1, 2, and 3. I don't know what these are. This is stupid. Right, I'm going to have to just call it this for the time being, and then I'll have to update it. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of the tutorials that just show how to do a function is like, you end up thinking, well, that's great, but how do I use that in the context that I'm dealing with? There's no context here. But when you start delivering a course that has a project, you are defining the context in which that project is, because it's the project. I am building a game I'm building a game, and maybe the game is I need to learn local storage because I need to store the score, right? So that is the context that I'm learning local storage in. And because I've played computer games before, I can relate to that. I know that there is a score that keeps being incremented. The more things I do, perhaps it increments. Then I do something else. I come back, and the score is still there. So that's something I'm used to. But when you say, oh, today we're going to learn local storage, and you don't give it any kind of context, you're just saying, this is how you save and get things from local storage, because you're not giving any kind of context, you're just teaching a thing. I can see how some people get like, hang on, this is just beginners 1, 2, and 3, isn't it? So I can just do that. Yeah, because you're just teaching the thing, it's difficult for people to grasp. I've missed out too. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking is going to be different. And going back to YouTube and how YouTube, you've got to keep consistency, and YouTube is my largest audience, so that would be a place to advertise. YouTube and Twitter. So what I would probably do, and because I can do this, because I own the content, I'm not putting it on any other platform, because this is the platform that we're building here. Is there any 5? Yeah. I'm thinking that maybe the first 4 or 5 videos of a course is free and available on YouTube, because they would be essentially like my little satellite videos warming up to the actual project, or sort of hinting at what we're going to do later. And then doing those things in the locked down parts of the course that is paid for. And of course, that would factor into the amount of 6 is what is a PHP interface, and that would factor into is a PHP interface. That would factor into the number of videos that I upload a year. Now, part of me is like, you could just do 52 tutorials on a function, on 52 videos describing 52 functions, right? And then you could do other videos that are project based, or you could do, say, 24 videos that are on project based, and then you could do the rest of them for the year as free. So I'm still trying to work that through in my head as to how that happens. At the moment, we can't really do any paid for courses because the platform isn't ready for paid for courses. So as soon as it is, then I will be doing paid for courses, essentially. But probably giving the first few out for free, and then using those as part of my yearly quota. Okay, we've done OOP. Now we do strings, PHP strings. Let's just commit this. Yeah, that's the downside, right? That you're completely right there, Mr. DB303. Completely right. I just need to press commit. So one of the things with one of the issues with creating courses it's largely to do with frameworks and when you've got dependencies, is keeping those dependencies up to date. As you've just mentioned there, Mr. DB303 said, then you'll have an issue when it's live that you want to keep tweaking it and refactoring it. Sure. But that's the difference between a project and a normal function tutorial. It's like the function doesn't change unless the language changes. And I've been quite careful with the PHP languages. I've called them PHP 7, which means that I can now update them to PHP 8. So I'm thinking about future content. But when it comes to projects that rely on dependencies that you're pulling in from other developers, be it frameworks or libraries or what have you, you have to keep that updated. The worst thing is when someone tells you that your course is out of date. I've had that with the packed stuff, PHP strings. The thing that's really helped this year is the Dependabot on GitHub. PHP strings. Where are you? Because that's really helpful, because that tells you, that sends you messages saying, look, this needs to be updated, this needs to be updated. But because unfortunately you go through I've done it again, strings tutorial 2 and 3 and 4. I'm going to have to make a note of this and sort these out, because this is, this isn't informative at all. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the fact that we need to keep the projects up to date. Yeah. One thing I was thinking of doing was perhaps having a Jenkins server here in the office, and having it do a sort of a weekly check to make sure that the projects are actually up to date, and need to be. And so I'm told, like Dependabot on GitHub, because obviously these projects the code wouldn't be available on GitHub, because they would be projects, they would be private code that you would have to be a subscriber to in order to get the code. So I would be hosting it myself to, where are we? PHP strings. Is it just string? They got basics and strings too. What was I thinking when I wrote this? Yeah, so having a little bit more maintenance. That's number 3. And there's another one, I think, isn't there? There's 4 in here. Yep. Yeah, and then I'm not sure. No worries, Mr. DB303. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. I had fun chatting with you. And let me know on Discord if you are able to do any of these notes. I would be very appreciative. The notes, by the way, I should say, because I've been talking about paid for and free courses, these notes that are course community notes, I'm thinking are only going to be on the free things. I can't ask the community to do notes for the paid courses. That's ridiculous. So all of this is, the free stuff for. Which is strings. And another feature that I was thinking of doing was when you were a paid-for user, you would get the videos, the tutorials from another hosting provider, probably Vimeo. I'm using Vimeo. It's a paid thing, but because I pay for it, it means that I can offer the videos without advertising. So to get around the adverts on the videos, you would pay a small fee to see the free courses and get the premium courses, but seeing the free courses without the adverts, that would be a benefit. What am I doing? Which one? Strings, control structures, Python. Oh, we're on the Python stuff now. Brilliant. Python. Here we go. I can't remember how I started Python. Can I not see this? Oh yeah, here we go. I can't remember how I started that. Because Python was something that I've never really used it out with clients. I think I've done a couple of things, but nothing massive. Mostly scripts running in the background. There hasn't been any kind of major websites that use that as a kind of a primary language that I've built. And Python is completely and utterly self-taught. Completely and utterly self-taught. And I've done 2 courses for packed publications with Python. Python microservices, and Python clean coding. Master clean coding, I think it's called. Increment loop counter. Yeah, but Python is something that it is all 100% self-taught. Nothing in college, nothing at university. Which I think a lot of this is actually a lot of this content is all stuff that I've learned outside of you know, courses and stuff. It doesn't feel weird saying that. I remember when I started this, and there was like major imposter syndrome. It's like, you know, how on earth can I, as someone who doesn't even know this yet, how can I be in a place where I can actually get it to be confident enough to teach it? I'm going to have to remove the tutorial of all of these things eventually. But I don't think we're that far through, are we? Well, I don't, or at least I don't. How many have we got to do? We've done strings. We're on control structures. Okay, so after this, we've got 2 to do. And then I've got to go through and create the issues. That's going to take ages. It's almost like I need some way of automating this, but the more, if I start thinking down that road, I'll spend more time writing the code and less time actually doing the work. In a loop. Next is what? Break out of a loop. And reading this, going down these things, I think this is the order in which I taught things myself as well. It's like, how do you do an infinite loop? How do you increment loop? How do you skip values from a loop? It's kind of like my way of no problem. If you've got any questions, Mr. DB, then do let me know. Put them in the Discord. I'll be more than happy to walk you through and stuff. No problemo. Out of a loop. Number 4. Yep. Can't believe I just said no problemo. What am I? 5? 10? No problemo. Surprised I haven't called you dude. 5. Loop. 4 loop basics. Strangely therapeutic doing this. I also think that this is going to be like, there's going to be a shift, I think. When we get this live, when we get this live, there's going to be a shift in the content I do on Twitch, I think, because I don't know if anybody can remember, but when I started streaming on Twitch, I was building just random projects left, right, and center. And there wasn't really any kind of master plan. It was just sort of writing code on Twitch. 6. And then came along this idea of because at the time I was building this in the background, and I thought to myself, this is never going to go live unless I give myself more time to do it. And I thought one area that I could or a piece of time that I can capture to do this is doing it on Twitch, and therefore I decided to drop all the things that I was doing, loop over a list, and work on this project. But of course, it's going to get to a point where the course, this project is live in its entirety, so people can log in and log out and subscribe and all this job. And it will be past the MVP post, a list. And I'll be more interested in creating content for the platform rather than build the platform, because the foundations of the platform would have been built. Of course, there would be certain things to do. We previously in previous in previous live streams, we've done things around Elasticsearch, because I would like Elasticsearch to be used to index not only these course notes that I'm doing, but also the transcripts. So you can search for certain things, and you would find the relative set of tutorials based on your search keyword. And with Elasticsearch, you can obviously score things to make things bubble up quicker or higher up the list based on things. So, for instance, even if hang on, what am I doing here? 7. 7 is loop over a dictionary. Loop over a. I should never just type dictionary out myself, because I'll never get it right. So I think there's going to be still some things that we produce on Twitch for the platform, but I think eventually it's going to get to a point where I've added a Y in there, haven't I? Where Twitch will be used to plan and produce the courses. So I think I can foresee a sea change in the content that I do on Twitch. It's going to be less work building this thing and more work building the content for this thing, if that makes sense. So as I mentioned before, there's a lot of planning and preparation that's involved. Just type if operators. Is this 8? Yeah, this is 8. Operators. And that preparation time would probably be done on Twitch, I think. I would probably say, right, this month on Twitch we're going to be planning this course or this project. 9 is else if. So not actually doing the course, but actually like planning it, and maybe playing with the code, not actually doing the recording, obviously. Okay, Python control structures, that's done. Python control structures, what's next? It's Python for beginners. Woo! That was a fun. I liked doing that course, Python for beginners. That was a very fun course. Python for beginners. Right, let's just copy one of those through. Oh, yeah, I do need to. I want to just commit these as I go. I know that I'm saying the same thing again and again, but I just want to put. I want to commit as I go. So, what's number 1? How many tutorials are in this course? Python. Where are you, Python? Python for beginners, 9. How to install Python on Linux. Hold fire. Where Oh, hang on a minute. I thought we had the templates for all of these. Yeah, it should be. Have I just been creating empty files? Oh, I have. Of course, I would pick this up in the PR, but great. Let's go through strings. Let's go up. Oh God. Wow. Wow. There'll also be things that I just simply can't do on stream, right? Because because once we get to the point where it's live and I have customers, I simply just out of pure security just will not be able to show code live. So there'll be areas that I just will be working on in secret, which is fine. But I mean that's an interesting thing, because I'm also starting to think about areas of the code that I can open up. Is that all done now? Let's have a look. Yeah. Right, where are we at? Python for beginners. Yeah, so areas of the code that I could probably put into open source repos. Number 2. And that would be nice, wouldn't it? It'll be if that was the thing, if that was the case, it would be really, I mean, a big reason for putting it in, open source, or open sourcing the, hang on a minute. A big reason to open source the code is to have multiple how to code well things using the code. So it's not just to give the community code, it's also to enhance the code across how to code well. So for example, if we had a shared UI library that went across, is that on? Yeah. That went across different things, different sites, and there's no reason why that can't be open source. Or if there was a particular React component that I was using in both the front end and the CMS, which is something that I've been thinking about, then as long as it doesn't give any sensitive information away, which it won't, not the components that I'm thinking of anyway, then there's no reason why that can't be open sourced as well. And basically I would be hosting my code on, say, GitHub, where both the front end and the CMS use, and if needed, other people could use it too. By the way, one thing I'm thinking of, so the front end is obviously built in React. It's Gatsby, and the front end has a series of forms because you've got login form. I mean, yeah, let's take the login form for example. The login form, so that's scripting. The login form, there's a login form on the front end. There's a login form on the back end because you log into the CMS. The code is different. One is in Symfony, templated in Twig, and the other one is a React form built in form IK. There's no reason why both forms can't be the same. There's no reason why the component can't be the same at number 5 variables. And there was another thing that I was thinking about number 5, isn't it? And that was the actual CMS itself is very form heavy, obviously, because it's I'm using forms obviously to update the content. So those forms, some of those forms could be components, although all those forms could be components, and those components could be abstracted into an open source project. One of the forms I'm thinking of is I would like to have a section on the course page, so on one of these course pages, of things that you will learn. I know that we've got this here, but this is basically a list of all the tutorials, which is ridiculous because when we see try and find an example, Docker strings, I think. Yes, so you will learn string basics, string tutorial 2, 3, and 4. That means absolutely nothing. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. It's no. So what I would like to have is a form that has a button that says add and remove. This is in the CMS. So you would write a sentence of something that you will learn in this course, and then you would click add button, and then another thing would be here. Oops, I'm gonna have to just check on Murphy's barking away. Give me a second, I'll be back. He's all right. So what was I saying? Yeah, sorry, you would have a form. I've totally lost my thread. Yes, you would have a form with a single text box, and then you would press add, and then it would drop. You would have another text box underneath, and each sentence that you would put into each of these text boxes will be things that you will learn. That's what I was going for. And that mechanism would be a React component, which could be open sourced because it's not giving away any sensitive information. It's just a component for how to code well. And that component could be used on the front end for perhaps if I was to do a survey on the front end, list your top 5 programming languages that you would like to learn, and you would list it by pressing a button that says add, and then you would provide another piece of text. So, PHP add, and then JavaScript add, and then whatever. Where am I? 6, 7. I need to do 7 is which actual web course is this? Python, isn't it? Python for beginners. Yeah. So there's lots of things that I would like to do. 6, 7. 7 is. Hey, Liquid Oxygen, thank you very much for tier 1. Wow, 4 months. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. That's really, really nice. You've made my day. You really have. Thank you. Look at those emotes flying off. They've got little Santa's hats on. That's brilliant. Look at them go. Look at those Santa hats go. That's so cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. Python for beginner. Where are we? Python for beginner, number 7. This is loop over. No, that's not Python for beginners. Python for beginners is down here. It's 7. It is. Hang on a minute. Where Whoa. Python for Beginners 7 is strings. Is that right? How to install... Hang on a minute. Have I been doing a different course here? 1 is how to install Python. Yes. 2 is Python interpreter. Yes. 3 is code formatting. Yes. 4 is scripting. 5 is variable. 6 is tuple lists. That should be lists and dictionaries. But whatevs. And then 7 is strings. There we go. Getting confused with my own work. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I hope your interviews have been going well. That sounds exciting. It's a very odd time to do an interview, isn't it? Like, interviews over Zoom. Odd, isn't it? I hope they've been going well. That's good. Oh, I see you. So you're studying. Okay, cool. Nice. What kind of, you say algorithms and other practice questions. Is it JavaScript based? $10 years. Yeah. Dust off that even the emotes have the hats on. That's brilliant. Yeah, dust off the old shirt and tie. Oh, nice. Comments. Oh well, I wish you luck in your quest. That's great. Yeah, keep me in the loop. Let me know how things go. I hope things go well. I'm sure they will. It's good to the thing I really like about Twitch is the fact that you can talk to people who you've never seen, right? But because they've been chatting with you on the comments, you know who they are on Discord, you've seen their code literally because they've done code challenges. You get a feel for who they are as a developer without actually having any kind of human contact with them, which is a shame because it would be awesome to go out and have a pint with everybody, go to the pub or a bar. But I know you're going to do well because I know I've seen your code. Yeah, so you get a little bit of an insight as to how people think because you've seen their code, because they've done challenges and stuff. So yeah, no, I think you'll do well. Yeah, good luck. Last one then, it is Symfony 2.8, and this course I did purely out of selfishness. I needed to learn services, and there was a particular thing in here I needed to learn. It was I wanted to learn deprecation, and I needed to learn injection of parameters, and I thought, why not just do a course? Oh yeah, private services, that was another thing that I needed to look into. I just thought, I know little bits about services in Symfony, so let's just do a whole course on it, and then let's, from myself, I'll get more of a well-rounded knowledge as to all of this stuff. So I decided to do a course on it, do 9 tutorials on it. I thought at the time, I was thinking, if I'm learning it myself, then I might as well just, turn the microphone on and the camera on after I've learnt it. And that actually was a really good way for me to teach myself, because I was reinforcing what I had learned. Okay, so service instances. But it's a 2.8 it's a 2.8 course, and this is what me and Mr. DB303 were discussing earlier, about these things. When you're working on frameworks, you have to keep them up to date and in sync. And this is a 2.8 course. Symfony 2.8 is super old. I do not recommend anybody use it on a new project one bit. And so I knew when I was doing this course that this is going to be outdated. And it was. As soon as I did the course, finished it, they were moving on to, I think at the time they were even in, doing things for 4. So, yeah. And so this puts me in a bit of an awkward position, because it's like, well, what do I do? Do I delete all of this stuff, all this content? Because, it's year by year, it's losing its relevance. Or do I do the whole course again, but in the new thing? Because obviously there's going to be stuff in here that is just you wouldn't do, because you wouldn't do in Symfony 5. Yeah, so it's one of those courses that I might do again in Symfony 5, maybe, I don't know, but probably, knowing me, I would have to time it right, because knowing me, I would do the course and Symfony 6 will be out. What's that for? Encapsulation. Which is why I like doing the courses that are, this is a function, this is what it does, this is off of a programming language, because then you're safer in the knowledge that, the content isn't going to drastically change. Even if the version of the programming language changes, your content teaching that particular thing is probably going to be safe. And I think if I was ever to do a course where there would be a danger of it becoming outdated, it would probably have to be a course that is premium, because I would need to have that foresight that I would need to spend time updating it. 6. Of course there is 4. Of course there is the other argument, of course, and that is that legacy code is all over the place, and so it's a good thing that there is a Symfony 2.8 course still around. I've not done any work at all on PHP 8. None of my clients are on PHP 8. Not my choice. 3. I'm trying to put service in between each one of these things. And I honestly don't know when that'll happen. It'll happen eventually. A fresh project, for instance, is probably going to be on PHP 8. But I said 8 and I've typed 8. Yeah, and also there's still a lot of packages that need to update to Symfony 8. Symfony 8, sorry, PHP 8. And that's service 1. Right, where are we at? 5, 6, setter injection. Is that 5? That's 6. How to inject is 5. I've already done that. As a contractor, you don't hear, well, in what I do, at least, the most of the contracts that I've been working on are projects that have already been in motion, right? So they've already been defined, they've already been worked on, and you as a contractor are working on specific features for that. But it means that you get to the project after the scoping is done, and if you're working on long-standing projects that are using old versions of things, then you're probably going to be still using those things throughout the project. It takes a bit of it's a challenge, I suppose. You have to justify the time and effort required to do an upgrade. And that's more of a consultant's role rather than a contractor's role. A contractor who writes code. I would need to put in like a business case for upgrading, and I've done so on a couple of projects. We put a business case together, and it was part of the role. It was like, we hear that it was moving from 5 something or other to 7.3. Obviously from a developer's point of view, it's madness to write code on 5.6, whatever it was, for simply the security reasons. And there was obviously the performance benefits. But I struggle to think about how I would put forward a business case moving to PHP 8. I think the only thing, really, just thinking about it off the top of my head, would be for longevity. At this stage, it'll obviously get to a point where once it's out of long-term support, there's more reason to upgrade. But right now, I can't think of any kind of fundamental reasons for projects that are on 7.3 to jump to, or 7.4 to jump to 8, if they don't need to. Which is terrible of me to say, isn't it? But it's the joy of being a developer. You're never out of work, because there's always going to be that upgrade project. Always. There's always going to be an upgrade project, and it's always going to happen at the point in which they desperately need the upgrade. And then that comes with, and then the longer that's put off, the more migration is needed, and other things, and other complications. Okay, I think we've done it. Which is remarkable. I'm really chuffed that has We've done Python for Beginners, and we've done Symfony 2.8. That is brilliant. I mean, it's just all I've done today is just create some basic, just markdown files essentially in all of these course notes. So if I did a git, that should all be up. If I did a git repository and then push, up they go. And then go into GitHub and then refresh the page here. Go into code. There we go. Compare and poll. We should have just markdown files. If we go into, yep, that's correct. It is new course. This is my pull request template. I'm not going to bother with that for the time being. Let's just create a pull request. And it's blocked because I need to do a review of my own work, but I set this up the other evening to block. But I can do a pull, a merge, because I am the owner. Waha! Brilliant. So now in code we should have, yeah, all the tutorials. Yeah, boom. Now obviously these are just going to be notes coming soon, edit these notes. But these notes are going to come, as I mentioned, into the website. So just how... hang on, let me log in. So these notes, this is where they're going to live. So for each of the courses, they have a series of tutorials, obviously, and then each of the tutorials will have course notes and a transcript. And these are going to be open source, or they are open source now, in How to Code Well course notes. Woo! So one thing I would like to do, and I'm not going to do it tonight because it's getting on a bit. But one thing I would do is go into the issues and then create an issue, like I've done here, for every one of those tutorials that we've just added. There's going to be loads, so there's going to be loads of issues, and then I or the community can pick a note to deal with. So, for instance, missing course notes, select boxes. So you would click on here and then you would go, okay, yep, this is the thing that I need to update. So, I would then do edit and then edit these, and then that would create, or I'd fork the project. That's probably better. Fork the project, update this stuff, and then off you go. Submit your pull request to close the issue. All of these issues are marked with, good first issue. I've also started to create, which is something I could do here actually, a label for the course themselves, because obviously we're going to have an issue per tutorial. So I've created a label per course, and a label called missing course notes, and a label of documentation. So eventually these will all be labeled like so, but you'll have a specific label for the course. Yeah, awesome. Right, I'm gonna call it a day, I think, on that. That's really quite a good start, I think. And that there should have actually been a message pop up into Discord to say that PR's been done. Yeah, but cool. Anyway, I'm gonna shoot down, grab another drink, I think, and just chill out for the rest of the evening. But thanks ever so much, everybody, for joining. It's been great. Happy coding, everybody, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers. Bye bye.